What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be shoutcasting some battles submitted to the channel by another recent Battle of Spice winner, Junaszek, who was able to win in both the Master League and Willpower Cup editions of this competition. They won in the Master League edition with a Master League Premier Classic team consisting of Lucario, Flygon and Ursaring, but since that cup is no longer available, they've decided to submit some battles in the Open Master League this time, featuring their 100% IV Victini, which I am very excited to see in the Master League. Victini has seen a ton of usage this season, mainly in the Great League themed cups like the Willpower Cup and specifically the Psychic Cup, where it was absolutely meta defining, and that's mainly down to the quick attack buff this season, now allowing Victini to get to those V-creates in just 5 fast moves or 10 turns, which is absolutely ridiculous considering V-crate is probably one of the best charge moves in the entire game. But I'm yet to see Victini used in the Open Master League, so I'm very excited to see how it does perform. Do bear in mind this Victini is only level 40, so no XL candies have been used as of yet, but to round out the team we've got Gyarados and Swampert, two very nice budget options for the Open Master League. And before we get into the battles, let's start off with the question of the day. What's the best mythical Pokemon for the Open Master League? Let me know in the comment section below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going straight into this first battle here, we lead into a Sylveon. Opponent is going to save swap into a Mewtwo and they throw a Side Strike straight away. Since we are also a Psychic type, we can comfortably tank that, let it go through, go for the V-crate here, and that'll do big damage. And now we're going to swap into our Gyarados and just make sure that we do win this matchup here. We're going to let this move go through, another Side Strike, it does huge damage, but Gyarados is able to hang on and fully Dragon Breath, farm down the Mewtwo there, go for an Aqua Tail up against the Sylveon, and we should be able to get to one more Aqua Tail here before we are Charm farmed down, and this will be putting the Sylveon into the yellow health, so some very nice chip damage there from that Gyarados. And remember, we do have a V-crate loaded on our Victini, but we choose not to throw it straight away. We don't want to debuff ourselves straight away, so we are going to overfarm, go for the V-crates once we have the back-to-back loaded. The first one here is going to take out the Sylveon, and this second one will do huge damage to this Melmetal if they choose not to shield. So they do go for the shield here, and we're going to swap into our Swampert, and this should be a very comfortable closing position here, because Superpower is going to lower the attack and defense from this Melmetal. A second one now going to do a lot less damage, and they've now lowered their attack and defense by another stage, meaning these Hydro Cannons, even though they're not super effective damage, are going to do massive damage to this Melmetal. So we're going to go for another Hydro Cannon here, and we should be able to get to a third one before they get to 2 more moves, but instead we choose not to shield here. This is going to be a Victini showcase after all, so we're going to come in with the Victini here. We actually lose the CMP tie, which is good to know for future battles here. We go for the V-crate, and V-crate will easily be enough to take out the Melmetal, and we're able to take that first game there. So nicely played there by Junaszek. Into the next game, we lead into a Excadrill. Pretty neutral lead there, because both of us can deal super effective damage with the fire and the ground or rock typing from the Excadrill. We go for an Aqua Tail here up against this Sylveon, and we're actually going to let this move go through. It is just enough energy for a Side Shock, so we do hang on here, and we're going to overfarm and go for an Aqua Tail just before we go down. Can we get a shield? No, we can't, but we do put the Sylveon into the deep red health here, and hopefully this is low enough so that we can come in and fully farm them down before they get to another charge move, which we are able to do, which is perfect. They're going to come back in with the Excadrill, and once again we are over farming here. We don't want to debuff our defense straight away. We're going for the V-crate here. This will do huge damage to this Excadrill, and we do get a shield. We're going to go for a second V-crate here up against the Excadrill. They let it go through. It does big damage. It completely one-shots the Excadrill there. They now have a Dragonite, and we're forced to swap out because Victini has lowered its defense by 4 stages. So we swap into the Swampert here, and unfortunately we can only deal resisted damage with the Hydro Cannons or Earthquake, so not a very good position to be in. Second Hydro Cannon does put the Dragonite into the yellow, and they don't commit to the full farm down. They throw a Dragon Claw, and that might just be able to win us the match here, as we're going to overfarm once again, choosing not to throw straight away. Very nice gameplay gameplay by this trainer with the Victini. We go for a V-Crate here, we get a shield from this Dragonite, we're going straight for a second V-Crate here. V-Crate barely, not enough to take them out, but one more quick attack is, and we're able to take that game. So it looked a bit tricky there when the Dragonite came in, but we're still able to overcome a bad type matchup with the Victini and take that game. Into the next game here, we lead into another Sylveon. This time we are going to overfarm a ton, and we're actually going to let this move go through. It is just a Psy Shock, it is resisted, non-stab. They're going to swap into a Hydreigon here, so not the best matchup for the entire team actually. So we're actually going to chip with 2 V-Creates here. The second one does put them into the yellow health already, and that will put them into range where we can just farm them down with the Gyarados. So we're seeing a very similar playstyle here to the first game, where we chip it with the Victini and then we come in and farm down with the Gyarados. They're going to come back in with the Sylveon here. We go for an Aquatel here. We should be able to get to one more Aquatel before the Gyarados goes down, which is perfect. And once again, this will be putting the Sylveon into the deep red health. So pretty much playing it out exactly like the first few games here. We come in with the Victini, unfortunately not able to farm down before they get to another move, but we do tank a Psy Shock once again. We're able to fully farm them down. We do have a V-Create loaded, nearly the back-to-back, but they've got a Mud Slap. Excadrill, but they choose to let that go through. What on earth was that decision? We could have had anything in the back, and if it was something like a Metagross or a Dialga, then the Excadrill would have been able to just fully Mud Slap farm down, but they choose not to shield the V-Create, and we're able to take that game. Into the next game here, we see a very nice lead with the Glaceon. They're going to say swap into Rhyperior. We have 2 water types in the back. This is a Mud Slap Rhyperior, so actually I think the Gyarados would have been an even better swap here for us, as we do double resist the ground type damage, whereas these Mud Slaps are absolutely chunking this Swampert. But we're able to get both shields from the Rhyperior very early on, but this Rhyperior is now going to be able to get both shields back from this Swampert. So we are going to go for a Hydro Cannon here, but we choose to overfarm and we allow them to get to another superpower here. So completely underestimating their energy, they're able to flip switch advantage, but then they switch out into the Glaceon, perhaps thinking that the Rhyperior will be helpful in the back, but it doesn't look like it is going to be. But we do lower our defense, meaning that we now are taking massive super effective damage from the Mud Slaps. They're able to farm us down with the Rhyperior. This Rhyperior has put in a ton of work. It's just a superpower, fortunately, it's not a rock wrecker. Gyarados is able to hang on, and they do have a Metagross in the back. So fortunately for us, Gyarados has a pretty dominant matchup up against the Metagross, unless they are running Psychic, so we should be in a comfortable position here. But they are running Psychic, and that nearly takes us out, but we're barely able to get to an Aquatel here. An Aquatel from this range is enough to take out the Metagross, and we're barely able to take that game. So a definite mistake there in the mid game there up against that Rhyperior, just underestimating the energy, and it nearly cost us the game, but we are still able to win that. And into the next game here, we lead into a Garchomp. Not a very good lead for Victini, so we do swap into the Swampert, and Swampert does get a shield from the Hydro Cannon, and at this point, we're just going to call the bait. If they do go for the Earth Power, it does take out the Swampert, but we did get a shield advantage, which is nice. We're going to come in with the Gyarados here and get to an Aquatel, but we throw on alignment, so we give them a full Dragon Tail extra. We're going to shield the Outrage, which is a great shield. That would have taken out the Gyarados or put us extremely low, and they're now going to come in with a Swampert or Water Gun Swampert as well, so that's pretty unexpected. Not gonna lie, we're gonna go for another Aquatel here up against the Swampert, and they choose not to shield once again, and they're so low that actually I think we might even be able to tank a Hydro Cannon and then fully farm them down. We're barely not able to, but they're so low that we can come in with the Victini, get off one quick attack and farm down the Swampert. And here once again we're choosing not to go for the V-Create straight away. We don't want to debuff our defense. This is just a Meteor Mash from that Metagross, so we do tank it comfortably. We're going for the first V-Create here. We get the shield, and I would have preferred if we overfarmed to the back-to-back V-Creates from this range, because this does lower our defense, but fortunately it is barely enough with the quick attack damage to farm down the Metagross there, and we're able to take that game. So there you go, we go 5-0 in the first set, despite that misplay in the last battle up against the Rhyperior. So very nice set from Junaszek. Into the next set here, we lead into a Togekiss. So we're seeing a lot of Charmers in the meta so far. They're going to safe swap into a Palkia. we're going to go for a crunch, and that puts them low enough where we can fully Dragon Breath farm them down. We're anticipating it's just an Aqua Tail bait, and it is. I don't think they were at the Draco Meteor just yet, or the Fire Blast, or whatever they were running. We go for an Aqua Tail here, very nice chip damage up against this Togekiss, and that should put them into range where we can take them out with a V-Create. We're going to go for the V-Create here after building up to nearly 100 energy, but we throw on alignment, and then we throw straight away once again, so they're getting 2 full charms through for free, which I don't really agree with. I think we should have gone for an extra quick attack there. We're going to come in with the Swampert. We're able to get to the Hydro Cannon, and from this range, this should be enough to take out the Togekiss. But we're seeing a little bit of lag here. Hopefully it still registers. Yes, we're able to take out the Togekiss. What do they have in the back? It looks like the opponent is lagging here quite significantly. They've got a Reshiram, and we're able to get to an Earthquake. It looks like it's an under-leveled Reshiram, so this Earthquake will easily be enough to take out the Reshiram from this range, and we're able to take that game. So even if the opponent didn't lag there, I think we still would have been very comfortable, because I don't think Dragon Breaths would have been enough to take out the Swampert there. So into the next game here, we lead into a Melmetal, very neutral lead. They can hit for super effective damage with the Rock Slides, but we can hit for massive super effective damage with these V-Creates. We go for the first one here, we get a shield from the Melmetal, and we swap and catch the next Rock Slide on the Swampert. Very nice play there, and also recognizing that we're not going to win the CMP tie up against the Melmetal, as we've already seen us lose it in the first battle of this video. They're actually staying in with Melmetal, go for a superpower. We're going to bait them with a Hydro Cannon here. The opponent does let it go through, so we should have just gone for the Earthquake. We would have been able to take out the Melmetal fully, and then we should have a ton of health left on this Swampert, but things are still fine here. We're going to go for the Hydro Cannon, take out the Melmetal. They come in with a Togekiss. We're going to farm to the back-to-back Hydro Cannons here. Go for the first one, go for the second one. No, we go for the extra Mud Shot there this time, and then we're not able to get to a charge move, and then once again we throw on alignment, so just the charge move timing here from Junaszek not perfect, and then we throw on a CMP tie, which we do lose. So just things are not going the right way for us at the moment, but we go for a V-Create. They have no shields remaining, so we're able to take out the Togekiss, and they've got a Groudon in the back, and this is one of the most dominant matchups in the Open Master League. Groudon with Mud Shot specifically, not going to be able to touch this Gyarados whatsoever. They go for an Earthquake, it's double resisted, that does absolutely nothing, and they're going to go for another charge move here, probably a Fire Punch, seeing if that helps them in any way. It doesn't help them. We're still able to comfortably tank it, go for an Aqua Tail, and Aqua Tail is enough to take out the Groudon and take that game. And now going into the next match here, we lead into a Machamp, so a pretty nice matchup here. Of course, they do potentially have Rock Slide or Payback to hit for super effective damage, but they're now going to swap into a Togekiss, and once again we throw on alignment. We just keep on giving our opponents extra charms, and once again throwing straight away. I definitely think once you debuff yourself once, you want to overfarm again, because yeah, otherwise you just give them a lot more extra like free fast moves in, and when you're debuffing your defense, that's even worse than usual. We're going to come in with Gyarados, which I also think is a bit questionable. We go for an Aqua Tail here, and we're not able to get to a second one, so we don't maintain alignment, and now this is looking very difficult here. It of course depends what they have in the back, but yep, they've got a Dragonite, so things are not looking good for us. Now, we're going to go for a Hydro Cannon. We've seen it before. We need about 4 Hydro Cannons to take out a Dragonite, so we're actually going to choose to let this go through. Remember, we've still got 2 shields remaining and very minimal health remaining on both Pokemon, so not really sure when we're planning on using these shields. We're going to come in with the Victini here. We do get to a Psychic before this Dragonite gets to a charge move, and Psychic barely not enough to take out the Dragonite. We are finally going to start using our shields, but I think it's too little too late. We are able to quick attack, farm down the Dragonite here. We're not able to throw the V-Create there. Sorry, excuse me, and we do lose that game. So first loss of the video so far, but that is fine. We're going to lead into another Togekiss lead here. So many Charmers here. Like, this looks very toxic in my opinion. We haven't seen any Dialgas yet, I don't think, which is quite interesting. I'm guessing at the lower elo, a lot of people don't have enough XLs to power up a Dialga or like a lot of the legendaries. Opponent swaps into Garchomp, we counter with Gyarados, and they just exit the battle, so not really sure what's going on with that battle, but into the next battle, we'll certainly take those wins. Perhaps the Garchomp was a triple ground moveset with Sand Tomb and Earth Power, so yeah, I guess that could have been the reason why they quit. But into this next game here, we lead into the Garchomp this time, and that is not ideal. We're going to swap into Swampert, and they're choosing to stay in. They bait us with a Sand Tomb, which is not ideal, because we do put our shield up, and now I think we're just going to let this go through, and it's another Sand Tomb bait, so we do call the bait correctly here, and they're going to come in with Melmetal here. We're going for the Earthquake, and this does huge damage to the Melmetal, but Pokemon are very bulky in this league, so it does hang on quite comfortably. They go for a Rock Slide bait instead of going for the Superpower, allowing us to get to another Hydro Cannon here, and we do get the final shield from the opponent, which is perfect. We're going to come in with the Victini here, and we're going to let the first Rock Slide go through once again, and we will be able to get to a V-Crate here just before the Melmetal gets to a move, but we're choosing instead to overfarm, and I think what we might do here is go for the back-to-back V-Crates, and we do build up to nearly 100 energy, go for the V-Crate here. This will easily take out the Melmetal here. They've got a Metagross in the back once again, and once again this should be fine for the Gyarados, assuming they're not running Psychic. But they are running Psychic, so that's 2 Metagross in a row that are running Psychic, which is not the recommended moveset for the Open Master League. So very interesting here. We're going to go for a Crunch. We get there and we get to another Aqua Tail. And from this range we've seen it does do enough damage to take out the Metagross, and hopefully the Dragon Breaths have put this Garchomp into range where we can take him out with the Victini, but they go for another Sand Tomb, so I'm not sure what else this Garchomp is running, but they should definitely go for the other charge move here, because that, even if it was an Earth Power, would have been enough to take out the Gyarados, but instead they allow us to get to an Aqua Tail, and we're able to take them out there. And there we do go 4-on-1 in the second set there, so very nice battles from Junaszek. So that's going to be it for today's video. As you can see, Victini looks to be very strong in the lower elo ranges for the Open Master League, especially when you come up against a Sylveon or a Togekiss on pretty much every single team, and as well they were often accompanied by various steel types, so Victini acting like a very good core breaker to a lot of the teams that we saw in today's video, so very impressive there. Not really sure how it would perform up against like the sort of higher elo range teams, because there are a lot more Dialgas, Giratina, Zacian, Pokemon like that, which might have slightly better matchups up against the Victini, but all in all, very impressed with its performance. I really like that this trainer did overfarm a ton with the Victini, making sure they don't lower their defense until they absolutely had to, although it did sort of mean that they were throwing their charge moves at slightly awkward timing, meaning that their opponents did get free fast moves through quite frequently. But other than that, very, very good battles by Junaszek. So if you did enjoy today's video, then make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, so that way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And with that being said, let's get into the shoutouts from my previous video. So firstly, we got Quinton, who says Superior is pretty bulky and Frenzy Plant makes up for its attack stat, and as well if you're running it with Leaf Tornado and you do get that attack drop on the first move, then that can completely flip a neutral matchup into Superior's favour, which I think is also really cool. Next we got Slow Season, who lists quite a few Pokemon here, but I'm going to be focusing on the Cradilly in the Great League. Great coverage, super spammy, and hits relatively hard with Stab, Grass Knot, and Stone Edge. And yeah, I definitely think Cradilly is a Pokemon that you very rarely see in the Open Great League, but it's got a very good stat product, and like they said, great stab charge moves as well, so I definitely think it is an underrated Pokemon. And finally, we've got Carlos Alcancela, who says Armored Mewtwo. Couldn't tell you the last time I went up against one, but definitely a force to be reckoned with. And yeah, certainly in the Open Ultra League, Armored Mewtwo's like, people know how good it is, but people just aren't using it for whatever reason, and I'm not really sure why, because it is a very strong Pokemon. Certainly Daniel Zaneri would tell you that it's a very good Pokemon in his signature heavy damage team, so yeah, Armored Mewtwo definitely underrated. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.